Okay, YouTube, how you doing? It's Jesse. It's been a while since I made a video, but I'm gonna make a small video on something. I looked at YouTube quite a bit, and I did not really find the answer. I did have one person kind of touch upon it, but they didn't really touch upon the fact that this procedure will work on the early LandCruiser V8s. I'm talking from 1998 to 2002. Then they pushed over to the variable valve timing, and which requires a timing belt replacement. So right now I'm showing you a picture of the timing belt. I just did a water pump and a timing belt replacement, and I figured I would do this video to clear up some misnomers of how to do it and do it the factory spec. There are a few things that you have to pay attention of. Obviously, I use quality parts. I use all ASIN parts, which are the Japanese replacements for this job. So I recommend that. Replace the water pump, had the metal gasket. Make sure you torque down properly. Should be around 16 pounds. Moving over to the belt. There's a lot of confusion on the belt. Left side, right side, cam position and lines. So I'm going to try to dispel the rumors or dispel what you don't know and try to give you them as much information as possible to make this job a little bit easier for yourselves. So first things first, when you start to put this belt on, if you were to mark up the crank, the cams to top dead center, there'll be some marks on the top right here. These marks right here that I'm pointing to right here would line up with this dot right here. Same thing over here. You have a dot on that side, right here on the left side, and then you have the yellow dot right there. That would be top dead center. Now, on the bottom, you'll see a little dot there, and then to the right of that is the dot below. Can't really see it, but it's down here below, and I think you can see it now. And what the situation is after you take the belt or after you take the covers off, the procedure from Toyota is to actually rotate this engine 50 degrees more. So why do they do that, right? So obviously we want to put everything in time, but they actually tell you to rotate 15 degrees to the right. The reason why they say that is because these cam gears are awful springy, okay? And because they're springy, if you were to put it at 0 and try to line these up, it makes it very difficult for us to line up this one and this one along with the lower cam gear, crank gear, excuse me. So what you do to avoid that is if you rotate it 50 degrees to the right, you're going to line up the cam gear or your pulley to a notch. And I'm going to show you what that notch is here in a second. So this is the cam cover. You have the 0 degrees. And to the right of that little bolt hole is a little tab. That tab is what we turn the pulley to before we start this job so we can line everything up properly. So I'm going to show you the pulley. And excuse the mess, I got a lot of things going on here. But you have the vibration dampener pulley, and you have this mark right here. When you actually set this up, you're going to line it up to that. That's 50 degrees past top dead center. Okay, by doing that with the belt still on it, these marks right here will line up with the T, which is for timing. Okay, T for timing. Okay, this will allow you to put this belt on so much easier. Now, if you were to check time for whatever reason, if you thought your belt was to jump, obviously you would use this mark right here and this mark right here. But for the purpose of putting the belt on, they try to make it easier on us service people by putting those marks in there. So if you do it 50 degrees properly, if your belt or cam gears haven't jumped time and you're just doing a simple replacement of the belt, this will line up just the way they do right here. This took me all but a few minutes. All right, you don't have to wrestle with anything. You don't have to wrestle with the springing. I'm going to show you on the bottom how that lines up. If you do it improperly, if you try to do it from the bottom mark, lining up to that bottom mark, the cam gear, the cam line will not line up over here. It will not line up. So it will make it even more confusing, and you'll start to wonder why am I doing this incorrectly, or if I'm doing it incorrectly. You are in fact doing it incorrectly. I've done the job incorrectly myself, and I've wrestled for at least an hour and a half to get this job right with a Toyota 4Runner. So here's the chance of getting it right without spending that much time. So I'm gonna go to the very bottom of the engine and show you exactly what I'm talking about. On the bottom, you'll see the crank gear line. And if you see the crank gear line there, you'll see that there's the line on the bottom, and then you'll see, I'm gonna try to take this light to the point where you can actually see that, okay? So you can see the dot is lined up to the line, okay? And if this is lined up, it's gonna go all the way around to the cam gears, and you'll start to the right side. So the first thing you want to do is line that up on the crank, wrap it around here, the idler pulley. You'll bring it around here and line this one up right here, okay? Once you line that one up, okay, you're gonna bring it back around here, okay? And then you're gonna start lining this up. You may need to move this just a little bit to the right or the left just to make things line up properly on this side. Okay, that's not gonna affect anything. It's because you still have this one lined up, you have this one lined up, now you're lining this one up. So you're gonna find out that this is relatively tight and almost impossible to put on if you have your tensioner completely on, okay? So the key or the trick here is keep this tensioner a little bit on the loose side. You'll see there's probably about 5 or 6 threads left for me to tighten this up, okay? You loosen it up and let it go down, 5, 6 threads. And once you do that, you give enough room for this to slide on there fairly easily. You tighten those threads back up to 19 foot-pounds, and then the job is done. The last thing you'll have to do is you'll simply tighten this up, you rotate it 2 times, ensure that this yellow line, the mark that I made for the cam gears, actually line up with the timing mark as if you're going to check it if you're looking for something, a jump time situation. You'll line it up there just to make sure everything is good to go. If it isn't, you're going to have to go back, redo it. There might have been a slack issue, but likely you won't have a problem. It will line up perfectly. All right, so I hope this has helped you with your timing situation on your LandCruiser V8 early model, years 1998 through 2002. You'll have the 2UZ engine, and the variable timing engine has the same setup. So some people don't think that this is going to work with this engine, but in fact it actually does. And although the manual does not really specifically state how to do it, they kind of allude you to the 50 degrees top dead center. They don't really talk about the lines on the belt. They don't talk about the T that's on the back of the heads, but they really do tell you, but not very clearly. I hope this helps. If you think it helped you, or if it made it a little bit easier for your job, give me a thumbs up. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me. Have a great one.